So what we're going to do here is talk about a couple of different ways to create activities. There's a lot of different ways. The first thing I want everybody to realize is that sometimes an activity will pop up automatically depending on the settings or what we call checkpoints. That's an admin level setting. So if something happens automatically and it gets in your way, let your admin know exactly what you were doing, editing a policy, for example, and what was the action type that popped up. That's what they'll need to adjust that. Realize that sometimes we turn on activities that seem to get in your way on purpose to track some behaviors that we want to check on. And a good example of that is I have a couple clients where we turn it on anytime a policy is accessed and we make it a required activity because we want to know why they're opening the policy. And it may sound a little crazy there, but what we're really looking to do is, are they using the right tool to view the information they're looking to view? And some of those right tools may not be exactly obvious. So it's a training tool and we turn it on for a short time only, hopefully. So first things first, we have the quick access bar up here and that little checkbox there is a new activity. So if I click that, a new activity will come up. I'm in this customer and I have this policy selected. So it'll open up an activity for this customer and this policy. Now, if I was out here at the customer center with no customer open and I open it, it's going to open a little differently. So let's start there. I'm going to have no customer open and I'm going to select an activity here. Now, why would I do that? Somebody would ask. Well, maybe I'm trying to capture notes about a phone call. I got somebody on the phone, they're starting to ramble off some information. I want to capture that information. Instead of writing on a piece of paper, I'd write it in an activity. And then later on, once I knew who the customer is, I'd search for it and the policy, and that way I don't have to redo my effort. Okay. So I'm not going to create this activity. There's two ways to do it. One is I can unclick create activity and save and close. That's 2 clicks. Or I could hit the red X over here and then answer the question no, and that's 2 clicks. So there's 2 clicks either way, same difference, personal preference. So over here at the customer level, again, I'm going to click it one more time just so you see. And it opens up to that customer, to that policy. Now, if I'm on the wrong policy, I'll just change the policy to the correct one. And if I'm on the wrong customer, I can just change that customer and get to the right place. So let's talk a little more about some other ways. So again, I'm over here. I have my view option. That gives me my side panel view, as I call it. And the way to get that on and off is right here. So if I click that button right there off, it goes away. If I click it back on, it comes back on. And this is my summary actually. So right here I'm seeing summary activities. So I can hit new activity from here and it brings me the same thing. It's an activity for the customer and the policy I'm on. Okay, again, I don't want that activity quite yet. So another thing we can do is we can be in the deck page view. So let me go ahead and open the deck page view up here. And here we have another activity for us. It's still the same old checkbox right there. So there says activity new or activity view. So I'm going to hit new. View is a totally different option. Talk about that another time. So I hit new, brings me to this very same place. I'm going to go one more place. Let's say I'm I'm inside a policy and editing that policy. So I'll do it from here. I'll click launch policy. You'll see in my settings here, it's automatically shaded. All right, this time I didn't do it. Okay. So there it opens up, and right there, I have another activity. This is in the old view format. So activity right there, new or view. So new, again, we're not going to talk about the view. They all get me to the very same place that I've been. And that's the key I want you to see. Now I'm going to close this. And notice it brings up right away an activity in this case. And notice I can't turn it off. This is one of those ones that were turned on in order to capture what's happening. So in my particular way of doing it, we'd say why we viewed it. I'm going to go ahead and hit an activity here for admin. That way I know to ignore it, basically. Okay, so the other thing to remember is on our activities. So I'm going to click an activity new open here. This time I am going to create some information. So I'm going to go ahead in here and say, what do I want to do? Now, again, this list that you're going to see is edited by every agency. There is no one that fits all. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to focus on a couple things. First off, when I'm in there, I like to stay on my keyboard as much as I can. Since it's blue, that means that's where I'm at. Now, if I happen to know my codes, once I learn them after some time, when you're new, it's going to be harder, but when you've been on it for a while, it's easier. So it's single click. I hit R and it brings me there, and I can keep going down with my down arrow key. So I'm going to go ahead and just say reshop quote. And then I use my coding. If your agency has coding, we'd use that. I'm going to use 2122. Where'd I get that? Right over here. It told me 2122. I know this is a homeowner policy. And then I capture any additional information that was there afterwards. So maybe that information is, in this case, it's a reshop quote. Quoted, I don't need to say quoted, but I'm going to. Let's say it was Travelers. Premium, let's say it's $1,500. And my commission was 12.5% plus agency fee 150. So I put the basics down here. Now I'm going to say here all coverages. Maybe I put a little other information there, catch up on some stuff later on. I'm going to copy that coding. So I'm going to highlight it, Control C. And then if I drop an attachment in, I would be able to see it there. I'm going to drop a PDF document I happen to have here. It's not really what it is, but I'm going to go ahead and drag that in. So for me, I need to doc type this. If I don't doc type it, it's like drop filing in the paper file days, and nobody wants that. Activities for me are the notes about how and why something was done. Documents are the result of that. So I want to be able to doc type it. Notice I put the very same thing in there because it's the same in this case. And in this case, I'm going to hit Q for quote and brings up quote. Now, one thing I want you to see here is that the drop-down list in this particular case is pretty long. Okay, so that's all I really need. Now, if I happen to drag an email in and the email had the quote attached and the email at body of the email just said see attached quote, then for me that attached quote would be quote, and the email itself would have been correspondence or something similar. I don't have one handy because I didn't want to drag up too much, but notice there in my case I type CORR and it comes up with a couple different correspondence types for this particular agency. So in this particular circumstance, it'd be correspondence from agency. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get that back in there. Come on. So I know it's quote is what I want. There's some other tips and tricks that come up that if you're dragging an email and there's extra documents there, I have another video that's called Deleting Extra Documents in Doc360 that talks about how to do that and why. I'm not going to go into that here. So I'm going to say OK to that. And then I could create a suspense if I'm expecting to follow up on that quote. For me, the action is what happened. The response, the suspense is what I'm expecting to happen. Automatically defaults to me, but maybe I change it to somebody else. And maybe here I'm expecting the bind process to happen. Now, again, no B for bind in this particular case. So in this particular case, I'm going to use account round sales, which I just hit A for account. Happened to be one of the first activities because here I say I reshopped it, I account rounded it sales. Now in this particular case, there wasn't an appropriate activity for a reshop quote. Should be a reshop sales. And here I would see that I quoted it, and maybe I want to add a little more. Bound yet? Whatever it is. And I picked my number of days. Maybe I want this to be in 3 days or whatever. I can type a date in, or I can just use my down arrow calendar. So I'm going to say for a week away. And then I save and close. I give it an eyeball over, make sure I didn't forget anything, and I'm going to hit save and close. So going back to that customer just one more time, now I'm going to see my reshop. There's that activity. I'm going to come over here to my document. There's that document. Again, the doc type it quote, so I know what it's quote, and there's what I quoted a homeowners, etc. And I can come back over here and change it to any of the rest of the things. I did create a suspense, so I'll put for suspense there, and there I can see my suspense. Just keep in mind that every agency is a little unique in how they do things. Hopefully you have activities set up correctly that allow you to work better. So that's it for today. Again, a couple other videos out there on my YouTube channel showing you how to view activities and view documents a little bit better. But that's it for today. Thank you. Hey there, thank you for watching the video today. Hope you found it informative and it was worth your time. When you get a chance, drop over to my webpage at ins-automation.com. Check out the offerings there. Particularly if you're not already a member of the newsletter group, please sign up by clicking that little box, answering the questions, and you'll shortly get an introduction and invite to view past issues. Other things you can find here is how to contact me. Simplest way, of course, is my email address, michael@ins-automation.com, or my phone number at area code 805-573-3725. Also, if you want to book time with me, even just for a phone call, go to Calendly, calendly.com/ins-automation, or there's a link in all my emails. And you can see here how to schedule some time, 15-minute, 30-minute, whatever. As you click on those time slots, it'll show you what's available in my calendar. Do note that the times on there are for West Coast or Pacific time zone. If you're a Central or Eastern agency and need some additional different times, just drop me an email and let me know what day you want to try to meet, and I can make that accommodation with advance notice. Just need to make sure I have a chance to get myself woken up, as it's a 3-hour difference for East Coasters, and get the dog a walk when she needs it. Back over here to the web page. Other things you can look at are resources for agencies, tools and products and tools I have, and all the other information there you can see. Again, this is Michael with Insurance Agency Automation Associates. Hope you're having a wonderful day and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.